Hey everyone, so we're going to have two challenges for June. Like I always try to have a pattern and a dry work. So I'm going to go ahead and do these separately. On the right, let's talk about the right. We're going to do squares or rectangles. So if you'll notice, I'm using 4 poles in the corners, and my arena is long, so it's going to be a rectangle, not a square. But the goal is, as you approach the corners, to keep front and back feet on the same track. So use a little inside leg, and then once your leg clears the pole or cone or whatever you use for your rectangle, you can even just do it in your mind's eye. You look at the next corner, your shoulders and hips turn. Your hands should not move much. Your hands should be your lightest aid. And then you'll use your body and your legs. So like for instance, inside leg so he doesn't turn too soon, and then use your shoulders, hips, and outside leg. And then as you're riding down your fence line here, you can also do some face flexing, which she's doing a little nose in, nose out, and you can post trot the length. And then as you get to the corner, you'll sit jog, and then again, inside leg, front and back feet to the square of the corner. So that way they're not, a lot of times what horses do when you use a whole arena is they'll kind of do it like an oval. They'll just cut the corners, they'll cut the corners off. So by taking your square or rectangular arena and going straight, riding front and back feet, what this does is it teaches the horse to be balanced. Now she's riding on the vertical, and teaches the horse to be balanced. So inside leg, and then look, turn your shoulder and hip, outside leg, and then see, it keeps the shoulders and hips square, keeps the front and back feet on the same tracks, and you're making nice lines around the arena instead of cutting off the corners or the edges. So there is a time and a place for circles, and that's where the next drill. So this would be your dry work to do squares or rectangles for balance and keeping the horse stood up, not dropping their shoulder, cutting corners, or counter arcing or anything. And you don't have to have a ton of lateral bend, but you definitely want everything nice and balanced. So for instance, as she comes in here, her hips, heels, and shoulders are aligned, so that's good equitation. She has a little bit of leg on them to keep them in the bridle. And then as she gets closer, she's looking past the pole, and then she uses a little outside leg to say, okay, you can turn now, and turns her shoulder, hips, and eyes to look at the next corner. So see how nice and balanced that was. So now on this side, we're doing the 4 pole drill, but in this case, I started the video a little later. So what you do is you can walk or trot down to the end. In this case, I'm using 3 cones in a barrel. You can use whatever you have, 4 cones, water bottles, poles, barrels, whatever you have. It's fine. The cones is great because it's easy to set up, and have them at least 20, maybe 25 feet apart, or whatever you have available for space. For 21 would be like a true pole pattern, but even 25 would be fine. So you're going to go around 2 times, and as you go around, they should have lateral bend. The nose should be in, the shoulder and ribs out, and the front and back feet should stay on the same tracks. If the horse is stiffening, and then now she's going to 2 track. So 2 times around the end cones or end barrels or end poles, and then 2 tracking, getting more nose and shoulder than you'd ever want in a pole pattern, and front and back feet on different tracks. And then of course she needs to look where she's going, get nose and shoulder. And then this is the final cone, 4th one. So again, going back to lateral bend, sitting on your pockets, riding the hind end of your horse, the same size circle 2 times around. Inside hand and leg will get them shaping up. So for instance, we want to see the front and back feet staying on the same tracks. She's going to use a little inside hand and leg, just like pinky and calf pressure, and that will give you a slight eye or nose to the inside, pick up the shoulders, soften the ribs, and that's going to keep the hip in and the pivot foot under. And you want to look a quarter turn ahead. So, and we want to keep it completely round for 4 quarter turns. So the entrance, the back side, the exit, and then the front side. And then after your second one, you'll weave back down. And so when you do your weave through, so like right now, she would want to have weight in her right stirrup and use her left hand and legs to go to the right. So she should have a little more nose than that and a little more shoulder. Really over exaggerate it. Front and back feet on separate tracks. And the idea is for the nose and the eyes to go opposite directions. So the nose, I'm sorry, not the nose and eyes, the nose and the shoulder. So nose going right, shoulder going left. Well, she's using her right hand and leg right now. She'll have weight in her left stirrup and right hand and leg, nose and shoulder. And then see right here, see how the horse's front and back feet are on separate tracks? Well, she gets nose in, shoulder out. That's a beautiful lateral movement there off the leg. And then see how she's able to keep the nose in. So really over exaggerate that, because that's what we want. We want to, and then if your horse head gets up, put it down vertically again, and then go back to lateral bend. So see how she put her horse naturally has a higher head set. So when his head got up right here, I told her put his head down. So she wiggled his head down right there, and then she went back to her lateral flexion. You don't want to get lateral bend with their head way up by your chest. You want to try to keep their head down closer to their withers. And again, that's why this is a really great drill. So I hope you take part in both of them. They're both really great. So over here, we're doing squares or rectangles. You can do it at a walk, post, trot, sit, jog, and a lope. So it's great for transitions. You can do vertical flexion, lateral flexion. You can mix it up. And then on this one, you're going to do 4 poles or cones or barrels. Go down like a regular pole pattern, right at the third one, 2 times around, perfect, whatever it is, 5 or 10 feet, then lateral 2 tracking, and then 2 perfect. So down here would have been lefts. Down here is going to be 2 right circles. Over there would have been 2 left circles. And then you go back and again, and then 2 more circles and come back straight. And again, it can be done, let's say you post trot down, you could jog around it. You could even lope a couple circles, break to a jog for your 2 tracking, and then lope a couple of right circles. So you can incorporate your circle work loping as well if you want to. So however you want to do it, and send it in. You'll get entered in the June training challenge drawing for a free month in the group or a prize. And those are your 2 options. You can do both. You can do one, however you want to do it. But this allows me to see your bond, your connection with your horse, your teamwork. I can see the horse's foundation, the rider's cues, instead of just seeing you in competition only. So it gives me a little sneak peek to how you train in your backyard. Thank you so much.